Many of the top YouTube channels have die-hard fans that will ride with their favorite creators no matter what. Well, in most cases. We will be uncovering YouTubers whose actions not only lost them loyal supporters, but also lost them their freedom. Ruby Frankie, a mom of 6, decided to start a YouTube channel to feature their family's day-to-day life back in 2015 along with her husband Kevin. The channel was a huge success, gaining over 2.5 million subscribers at its peak. Ruby had a way of making the viewer feel like they were almost part of their family as they put it all out there. She was also very popular among parents for parenting advice and guidance. Over the years, viewers got the opportunity to watch the kids grow up. But as the channel grew, so did the amount of people concerned about the parenting style of Ruby Frankie.
Shh! The fact that I yell at my kids is a secret! We don't want our viewers to know!
Users on the internet started to take notice. There needs to be an investigation into the 8 passengers' kids. Their mother, Ruby Frankie, is not just strict, but a downright control freak. She exploits intimate details of her kids, for example puberty, for views. Quite often they are clearly uncomfortable with the conversation. In one video, Julie is clearly asking the mother to turn off the camera, but Ruby refuses. Her 15-year-old son, Chad, has been sleeping on a beanbag for 7 months because having a bed is a privilege. Also, Chad's bedroom and bathroom door has been taken away. She took away her kids' electronics for the whole summer. While I would support maybe limiting their use, this is just cruel. They are in a new neighborhood, and a few of them had admitted to not having any friends. Her 6-year-old daughter Eve went to school with no lunch, and when the teacher called Ruby, concerned for her well-being, Ruby hoped no one would feed her in order to teach her a lesson. This Reddit comment would actually be onto something, but in reality, it was much more serious than this. The incoming hate Ruby received resulted in her quitting YouTube, but it would not make her quit the way she was going about her business. Ruby decided to team up with Jody Hildebrandt, who was a licensed clinical mental health counselor. Jody would specifically work with Mormon couples and families in Utah, which was where Ruby Frankie and her family lived. Jody hired Ruby onto Connections, which was her non-profit organization. Ruby went through training and became a mental fitness trainer. Connections was basically a life coaching group, and similarly to Ruby, Jody also had a controversial past. August 30th, 2023, one of Ruby's children escaped out of a basement window inside Jody Hildebrandt's home and ran to a neighbor's home. This would result in both Jody Hildebrandt and Ruby Frankie getting arrested that same day, but it would not stop there. During the investigation, more disturbing details were released. Allegedly, Jody and Ruby would put cayenne pepper on Ruby's son's rope wounds from being tied up. Ruby Frankie and Jody Hildebrandt each will serve a minimum of 4 years in prison and could end up serving up to 20 years in prison if the full sentence is served. Both were originally charged with 6 counts of aggravated child abuse, and after the court case, they were only charged with 4 of the child abuse charges and were sentenced on February 20th, 2024. It appears that Ruby Frankie has been cooperating. She did not contest the prison sentence and instead said that she would testify against Jody Hildebrandt. But in Omi and Hellcat's case, he would gladly take Ruby and Jody's sentence after getting himself wrapped up in so many charges that he would be facing 514 years in prison. Omi and Hellcat was an entrepreneur who started a YouTube channel in May of 2019. He quickly gained several 100,000 subscribers, and after consistently showcasing his fleet of cars and his mansions, he quickly found himself at 800,000 subscribers. Omi was popular among his viewers due to his positivity. He would often give little motivational speeches in his videos as he was on his way to his next business endeavor. Until everything would change on November 27th, 2019. The FBI raided Omi's home. Over $5 million was seized, 58 vehicles, and 21 properties. But why? Omi never talked on his channel about where he made the bulk of his money from. It was known on the channel that he owned some nightclubs, and he talked about businesses he was starting or running at the time, but after the FBI raid, it gave Omi 2 choices: stop uploading to YouTube altogether, or open his mouth. and he chose the second option. Omi was operating a large-scale internet protocol television piracy scheme. Before the FBI raid, it was not talked about on his channel at all, but this is where he gained his wealth. He started by jailbreaking Fire Sticks and reselling them. The customer would walk away happy because they were receiving cable for a one-time fee in the ballpark of $150. Omi spoke about it on his channel because he believed that he had found a loophole in the copyright laws. But unfortunately, he was wrong, but we will get to that in just a bit. After reselling jailbroken Fire Sticks, he had enough finances to scale the business. Omi created an app called Gears TV, and it was much better than his previous product. He figured out a way to craft Gears TV into the perfect app that included nearly every television network, sporting events, and movie viewing platforms such as Netflix, all for $15 a month. This app allegedly was bringing in $400,000 a week, making it a huge success. The court files state that Omi made over $50 million in subscription fees before selling the app for $40 million. After Omi sold Gears TV, he developed Reloaded TV, which was an even better version of Gears TV. What Omi was doing made him sort of the Robin Hood of the dark web. People were tired of paying outrageous monthly fees for cable that seemed to go up every single year. He got you an even better product for a fraction of the price. It was clear that Omi was a great businessman, but the problem was that he was a criminal in the eyes of the law. Omi was sentenced to 66 months in prison and 5 years of supervised release. He had to forfeit over $30 million in assets and has to pay $16 million in restitution. Honestly, not bad when it started with him facing over 500 years in charges. And when it comes to Trevor Jacob, his 6-month prison sentence doesn't break headlines, but the way he got there does. Trevor Jacob is an Olympic athlete where he competed in snowboarding in the 2014 Winter Olympics. When he isn't snowboarding, you could consider him an extreme sports athlete. In 2010, Trevor began uploading snowmobile videos on YouTube. Each upload to YouTube seemed to increase in intensity. Trevor began freight train hopping, then eventually started uploading crazy skydiving stunts. And this is where things would start to take a turn for Trevor. December 24th, 2021, Trevor would release his most viewed video to date on his YouTube channel when he uploaded a video titled, "I Crashed My Airplane." He was flying over Los Padres National Rainforest on November 21st, 2021 after obtaining his light aircraft pilot's license. You can notice right away when the video begins that Trevor is wearing a skydiving harness and announces that he is on his way to Mammoth Mountain to spread his friend's ashes. Trevor would not get to Mammoth Mountain, and if it was intentional or not, when you see the footage, we will let you decide. The door of the aircraft opens and Trevor attempts to get the door shut, but he fails to do so. This resulted in him using the skydiving harness that he was so conveniently wearing. He jumped out of the plane and landed successfully. He located the plane and it was completely totaled, but after this video, Trevor would have some serious problems. The Federal Aviation Administration and the National Transportation Safety Board investigate every single plane crash. Crashing a plane is not like totaling a car where it could possibly be swept under the rug. Plane crashes, after some of the serious terrorist incidents that have happened, they don't take lightly. During their investigation, they were unable to find the wreckage from the plane crash. When they contacted Trevor and asked him where the plane went down, he couldn't seem to remember. He also failed to report the plane crash until 2 days after the incident occurred because he allegedly didn't know that he had to report such a matter. During further investigation, it was found that Trevor got a helicopter and removed the wreckage into a trailer where he then chopped everything up and disposed of it in different dumpsters. Trevor ended up pleading guilty to 1 count of destruction and concealment with the intent of obstructing a federal investigation. Trevor actually never received any charges for actually crashing the plane. The charges came from him lying about it after to the feds. This type of charge carries a maximum of 20 years in prison, and Trevor ended up receiving a 6-month sentence in federal prison. In the future, I'm sure Trevor will rethink things when it comes to his stunts. If you have watched the video to this point, please consider subscribing if you haven't already, and thank you so much for watching. I got some more banger videos right here for you to watch.